renewable energy is crucial for Nigeria's economic development, offering opportunities for sustainable growth, job creation, and energy independence. By embracing renewable energy, Nigeria can reduce its reliance on fossil fuels, improve air quality, and mitigate climate change while boosting the overall economy. Notably, as a renewable energy source, solar power offers a cleaner, more sustainable alternative to traditional fossil fuels. So with the right policies and by leveraging solar energy, Nigeria can promote economic growth, improve energy access, and contribute to a more sustainable future. Now, Femi Adeyemo is the founder and CEO of Arnergy. He joins us now for his expert analysis on these subjects. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Neyi and Bolandi.
We've been talking about renewable energy for as long as I can remember now. And I know that, yes, we are not where we should be, but we've gone farther from where we used to be.
Absolutely.
I'd like to hear your thoughts on how far we've come, especially when it comes to adoption of renewable energy, talking about solar energy in Nigeria.
Fantastic question. How far we've come. For instance, our organization, we've been around for 11 years.
Okay.
In fact, in recent time, I've been telling people that, you know what, maybe we were like 10 years too early. So to your question, I can tell you that in between, let's say, 2013 when we started and 2023, we more or less as a nation scratching the surface of what the potential of renewable energy, and I will narrow it down to solar plus storage. But I can tell you that between 2023, I mean, the new administration, between 2023, second half of 2023, and now, the game has really changed. And a few things led to that. Policy is part of that. And I can tell you that also globally, the cost of lithium batteries. Because as we all know, yes, solar, great, fantastic technology, but at night, what happens? So you need storage. And I can tell you in the last 18 months, the cost per kilowatt hour of lithium is now like 50% lower than it used to be like 24 months ago. So we are at an inflection point in our nation now because almost all what we need has aligned for us to more or less take off. I mean, I'm a product of the telecom industry. I mean, when growing up, Nitel and all of what Nitel was, just about 400,000 lines. And by the dawn of the millennium, 2000, we know what happened where from 400,000 lines, we moved to not of 10 million within a few years. I think that that's the point where we are now as a nation in terms of adoption of solar. And I mean, I can't be more excited, not only for our company, but for the effect that that will have on businesses and even governments across the country. But of course, we need to do it the right way. And I'm looking forward to even having a deeper conversation today.
Deeper conversation, especially you've just given us a glimpse
Indeed.
of the state of the solar infrastructure. But I would like you to go deeper a little bit.
Sure.
And realistically, how can the current infrastructure, you said you've been around for like 11 years now.
Indeed.
Okay. So how can the current infrastructure contribute to the national grid when called upon to do so as well? And is it realistic that, okay, fine, if I have this from the solar sector, I can basically send more, to every other businesses and households, as it were. Are we at that stage right now? Because all you hear is that we're still hovering around 10,000 megawatts. The generation. So we're still at 4,000 now.
Indeed.
So that myth is still there.
All right. Okay. Very great question, and let's try to unpack that. Okay, because like I said, we need to do it right, and we have to touch on across the value chain. So, and I will start by more or less answering your question, and the question focused on what can we do on the grid.
Yes.
Right. So. 10,000 thereabouts, that's what we're generating, but maybe 4,000, 5,000 on the distribution side. So what I believe we need to do, and again, this is not rocket science, it's already happening in a lot of countries. We just need to bring the technology and apply local intelligence and local innovation and make it happen. We first of all need to ensure that our nation is not exposed, our people are not exposed to the grid shutting down again. And how can we do that? Battery technology. I have mentioned how the cost of battery has been plummeting. So what we need to begin to do on the grid, thankfully, we now have states are now able to regulate their own power. We need to begin to have grid scale storage on the feeder level, on the transmission level. So that when you have the 5,000, let's even say it's 5,000. If we have the 5,000 and we have it, that's not a bad place to start. So put several megawatt hour of storage on the feeder so that for every distribution franchise area, you know you have uninterrupted power. Good. You can then go a step further by adding distributed solar generation. You can have 50 megawatts here and there, across different states. And with that, we will gradually increase even the generation so that generation, when we say we have 10 gigawatt or 20 gigawatt or 20 gigawatt, we can say indeed we have it. Not that today it is, we're generating, but we're hardly able to maybe even distribute a quarter of that. But beyond that, that's on the grid. And for the grid, I will argue that we can let the grid power productive Nigeria. What do I mean by that? We have businesses shutting down, manufacturers shutting down. GlaxoSmithKline is my landlord. They're no more. We don't want that to continue to happen. Yeah. So I am an advocate of let's ensure that the manufacturers, we are able to ensure that the grid works for them, because a good number of them are on gas today, but gas prices up and down, and they're not able to plan. So let's ensure that we, with grid scale storage, ensure that we use that, plus utility scale solar, we can use that to stabilize the grid and prioritize the manufacturers. If we need to subsidize. Because a lot of the countries that we talk about, they subsidize the manufacturers to ensure that the economy is productive. So let's come back to the commercial and industrial and residential. As at today, with the economics today on band A and governments struggling to subsidize band B and below and coming out to say, you know what, band B, band C, wait, before you know it overnight, you'll be moved to band A. For residential and small businesses, we have no business being on the grid again. Because we have a lot of businesses in Nigeria now that are they're using solar plus lithium storage and they are off grid. But that needs to be distributed. The problem now is it's still limited. The awareness is not where we need it to be, and it has to be distributed across the country.
I just have my mouth agape while you're saying all of this, because I know there's so much to be unpacked on this issue of solar energy, especially when we talk about underserved communities. And these are the, things that they're the low-hanging fruits, especially looking at the fact that a country like Nigeria with over 200 million people is generating the same electricity that a Ghana, our neighbor here, is generating. And Ghana is just about 34 point something million people.
Indeed.
What do you think are the main challenges in adopting solar energy in Nigeria?
So on the adoption side, you've touched on rural. I would say give it to the government. I think the government has done even more than I will argue that they should be doing on the rural side. Because we have a lot of capital. We had a program called NEP, which is, I believe, maybe close to $300 million over the last, maybe 3-4 years. And that more or less focused on the rural. Now we have another program called DS, which is $750 million, and again, it's also heavy on the rural. And my point is, we want our rural communities to develop. But
there's also the Rural Electrification
Agency. Yeah, Rural Electrification Agency, fantastic guys. I have to give it to them. But again, I'm saying it can only be rural, because they said SME is the bedrock of the economy. If we're doing rural only, and the guys that will ensure that the economy works are struggling, they're traveling. I mean, thankfully, maybe Japa has reduced a bit now, but it was a problem across the country because all of the private sector, even the banks, the telecom, everyone was struggling because the center, the SMEs, the teeming youth that we're supposed to empower to stay here and build their living. You know, so, but back to your question on the rural, yes, I think rural, I mean, with mini grid that is happening, with REA, I think that is good. But for you to power your home, for your friends that are running businesses to be able to power, I mean, I got a call a few days ago, right? An hotelier in Abeokuta, because of the cost of diesel, they had to shut down the hotel because they couldn't cope again. And that is the reality of a lot of businesses in Nigeria today. Until a family member introduced Arnergy to the man. And before you know it, we install a solar solution, and then the hotel is back, is now operational. So to the question, I mean, distribution. You know, again, I had mentioned telecom. There would not have been an MTN or an Airtel and all of the MNOs if they were not able to distribute across the country. The FMCGs that we have today, distribution is what has made them to, what has made someone in Sokoto to be able to buy cement from the cement manufacturer. I can tell you that as the adoption is ready to take off, we are not distributing enough. We're not partnering enough. So don't we have
enough distributors or?
We don't have enough because, again, you know, solar a year, 2 years ago is that thing, what's that? But now it's at a point where people are paying attention, and I can tell you that I'm spending a lot of my time now to forge collaboration and partnership to have distributors that can take solar to Sokoto, some places in Bayelsa, so that we can have it distributed, good quality, by the way. Because again, when we do this, we have to be sure that it is good quality product that gets to the nook and crannies of the country.
All right, if I may digress a little. With every new energy concept, you can't, but think that, okay, fine, some form of waste is being generated as well. You said lithium batteries have, the prices have fallen, there's plummeted. But then again, they're also non-biodegradable at some point. So how do you get rid of the waste from lithium batteries? Or can they be recycled? So these are some of the issues. With new energy prospects, okay, fine, we're saying fossil fuels have their own issues. But then again, with renewables.
Fantastic question. So, and I've gotten this question from some of our investors, again, because we have investors, they are ESG heavy and all of that. So what we have in the pipeline is when the batteries, so the cells in each of the batteries that we supply to the market, they come with, most of them come with 10 years warranty. Okay. Those cells are going to last 15 years. They are already planned not only to recycle, but with all of what I'm saying, if the industry really take off, we'll manufacture battery in Nigeria.
If, so there's a caveat.
I mean, yeah, I mean, again, there is a caveat, but I can tell you that with what I am saying, the chances, I would say, not of 80% that it will take off, and that we will not only recycle those cells or those batteries in Nigeria, but we'll make new ones that will even export outside of the country.
All right, that's very important, because we're talking about a world where we want to reduce wastage and also, greenhouse gas. Thank you so much for your time on the show, Femi Adeyemo, founder, CEO, Arnergy, and we wish you all the best in your future aspirations.